Welcome to Romans, God's Solution to Our Problem, a devotional series by Sumo Youth. Make sure you've got a pen and your copy of Romans with you, and if you haven't already, pause the video and pray that Jesus speaks to you through His Word today.
Hey everyone, welcome to day 39. In our last video we read that Abraham's righteousness came through his faith in God and not through following the law, which is his good deeds. In today's reading we learn that Abraham's faith in God was credited to him as righteousness, and that we know this for our sake, as we are told that our faith will be counted as righteousness in the same way. So we have Abraham's great example to follow, and it's awesome because his example isn't one which pressures us to be perfect and have everything together, but his example is one which says, yeah, we may not be perfect, but that's okay because we have a God who is. His example is one that also tells us to trust in God's promises despite everything that's going on around us, despite what the world says. Abraham was like 100. And God promised he would be the father of many nations. Despite the odds, he didn't weaken in his faith, but was fully convinced that God had the power to do what he had promised, which is pretty cool. No matter what happened, he knew that God was all-powerful and in all control. He gave God all the glory, and it was this faith that made him righteous. So we have this example to follow, that for us who believe in the God that raised Jesus from the dead, if we believe no matter what happens around us, but we give him all the glory, that this faith will make us right with God. So we have a few questions for you. Read the passage and have a think about them. Number 1, what good works did Abraham's faith lead to? Number 2, what was it that Abraham was convinced of? And number 3, how is your faith in Jesus leading to actions in your life? So what good works did Abraham's faith lead to? So we know that Abraham was righteous because of his faith, and it was this faith that led him to do good works. He gave God all the glory and trusted him with his whole life. He even went so far as to be willing to sacrifice his only son because God told him to, believing God would raise him. And you can read more of Abraham's story in Genesis if you want to find out a little bit more about him and what his life was about. Number 2, what was it that Abraham was convinced of? Abraham was fully convinced that God was able to do what he had promised, and that is why his faith was counted as righteousness. And number 3, how is your faith in Jesus leading to actions in your life? This is a question for you guys to really think about. Is your faith, growing stronger and shaping your life? For me, my faith means that I'm able to do things that I wouldn't normally do, but I do them because I know that God is all-powerful and in all control. He's worth trusting. If he raised Jesus to life, then he can definitely do anything we need. Thanks.